I'm Jenny from The Glitter Rose. You can find me under that name over on Instagram and also Amazon. Today I wanted to get into my art studio for a very specific purpose. So I really felt like playing with Maremi's images, but I wanted to do it my way. I wanted to not have to fussy cut because we all know I'm not a fan of fussy cutting, but I wanted to really blend some images together. Um, I really didn't feel like fussy cutting around the images. So I wanted to try putting two images together or more and working out how I can get the background papers to blend together to make it look like one image. And I really think that I've achieved that. So if this is something that you're maybe struggling with, or you want to learn some techniques to get them to look more blended, and go together a little bit better so that they don't look so stuck together. They don't look sort of scrapbooky or, you know, um, you know, like they've just been stuck on top of each other. Stick around. I've also done it my way with, arty texture with some grungy sort of elements. So if you want to see how I've popped this page together, be sure to stick around. I had a lot of fun putting it together. I think that the page has turned out really quite magical, but it's still, it's still very much me. All right, guys, let's get into it. So for this project, I've decided to use the book Fairies in Blooms and Backgrounds because the pages are quite different. So each image has a different tone background, which I think will be perfect for this example. So I'm deliberately roughly cutting out my images. I'm going to leave maybe a bigger border than I usually would so that I can show you my technique for blending. I think I'll use this gorgeous girl to go on top, and I'll also use some book pages. So I'll roughly cut her out, and I'll get my book pages ready and then I'll be back. Okay, as you can see on both pages, um, they are they've got quite a large border around them, and they actually have a different tone background to each other. So when I layer them, they're going to look quite different. And I've gone with a vintage book page. I'm not going to go for a white background page, so it'll be quite different as well. And I'm just working out where everything will go. I'm not worrying too much about placement because I'll probably, I think I'm just going to have two images. I don't need a lot. I'm going to pop some, I'll probably pop some modeling paste on top as well. I love these muted colors that are in these books. They're sort of, or this book, they're sort of vintagey pinks. They're just gorgeous. So when I glue all these down, I'm going to give them a good coat with my collage medium. It'll just seal it nicely. I'm going to finish gluing all this down and then I'll be back when it's all glued. But just want it all glued down nice and tightly. but I think that the placement's looking quite nice. She's nice and dry now, and I'm just going to give her a rub over with a brayer just to squeeze out any air bubbles, just to make sure she's down nice and well. That's looking pretty good to me. It's looking pretty good. Just they were quite large images, so I just want to make sure that it's all down properly and she's not going to buckle. Okay, so I've just grabbed in some gesso and I'm just connecting the white space and um, just blending in blending in the white space with the background. This just helps connect all the separate areas together and makes everything whole and pushes the background into the background. It's just a quick technique. All right, that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to dry this off and then I'll be back with the next step. Okay, so now I've got some modeling paste and this is just some for Australian locals, just some Kmart modeling paste. And I'm making sure that I'm overlapping the different areas. This will just help blend everything together and just make everything look a little bit more whole. So I'm just popping on some modeling paste. The more I use the Kmart modeling paste, the more I like it. I'm able to dry it quickly with a heat gun. It's nice and thick. It goes through the stencil nice and easily. I just think it's really the perfect modeling paste. And it's cheap. I'll just spin the direction of the stencil just to give it a little bit of variation. Means I have to spin my wheel. Bit awkward. Yep, that's looking pretty good. I don't want to have it in the four corners because that would look too even. Okay, I'm going to dry this off with a heat gun and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've grabbed in my watercolor pencils. These are by Distress. And I'm going to do my first lot of blending. So I've picked tea dye because I think this will be the closest to the book page. I imagine I'm going to be doing my blending in stages. So this first lot I want to blend to the book page, and I'm just colouring in to try and take down that white colour. And I'm just colouring in carefully around her. I have a tendency just to colour in and just see, as I go along, see what she needs and then add some more. I'll add more later. So you don't need these pencils particularly. Just any sort of medium would work. You could use ink pads if you have something that you could control. So like on a Q-tip, you could use normal pencils, you could use watercolor pencils, watercolor markers, just something. The good thing with using the collage medium as that barrier, um, I just have that to protect the image, so I can use a bit of water on this as well to blend it out. So I'm not only using this color on the images, but I'm also using it on like the book page and the image underneath her. I was expecting this pencil to be a little bit yellower than it is. The tea dye ink is a lot yellower than this pencil, so I was a bit surprised. But it seems to be working quite well. I'll bring this color up a bit further. Okay, I'm going to put a bit more color on. You get the idea, and then I'll be back with the next step. I think for the first steps, it's starting to look nice. It's sort of blending in well with the paper. So I'm happy with that to begin with. I've grabbed out my spray box and and the Tattered Rose Distress Spray Stain. It's quite a mouthful. And just some plain water spray, and I'm just popping in some color amongst the um, modeling paste. And this is just personal preference. I love the look of color amongst modeling paste. I love how it grips on. I'm also going to use some Paper Artsy Infusion Just Walnut powder and some water, sprinkle that on and dissolve that, and that gives it a little bit of grit and I'm not sure if grunge is the right word, bit of grit and interest amongst the modeling paste, and it just a little bit of interest. I love the look, and I think amongst the soft pink, it's going to look really kind of interesting and interesting and pretty. Um, Sort of done it amongst all the modeling paste. It's sort of out of shot of the camera, but I'm going to dry it off and we'll have a closer look. It's a bit hard to catch it on camera without zooming out too much, but you get the idea. There's not a huge amount of area to do, so I just like a few drips and a bit of interest. Okay, so everything's nice and dry. I think up in that top section where I've got the butterfly there, it needs something to blend the two layers together. So we've got lots of um, like modeling paste to blend layers. I'm going to use the butterfly to do the same sort of technique to blend the layers together. So I'm using a 49 and Market butterfly to land on that little bud. And that's a little trick to blend layers and make it look a little bit more um, blended. And that looks good. That just sort of hides layers and makes things look a little bit more blended, I guess. Okay, I still need to do blending to her. So I'm going to start coloring in her, well, behind her head and try and blend in some colors to match. So I'm starting off with a brown. And I'm going to go in with some greens. And see how I go. I'm going in with this philosophy that you can always take it away and add more. So going slow. um, if you're going too heavy, I don't want to ruin it. So going in slow and then adding to it's probably better than, going heavy and trying to fix it up later. At this stage, I'm really sort of concentrating on putting some color on and using my water brush, uh, and then taking a lot of it off. Just trying to get the colors right, taking down the yellow that's behind her head and trying to match in the colors. I'm using a lot of grey as well. Grey seems to really sort of tone it down. When I'm coming up behind her, I'm thinking about popping shadows behind her as well to add to the interest and depth. This certainly isn't a fast technique, but I have to say I really enjoyed it. I think that it's just another step in your mixed media journey, something fun to play around with. I've also added some shading and shadows to the background that wasn't originally there. I think that added to it as well. You just play around with the colors and sort of blend everything in. Makes it more you as well. These Derwent water brushes are great. They've got a button in the middle, so in the belly, you can pump out a blob of water. With using a water-soluble medium like a watercolor pencil, you don't need to be too worried about how you how you color it, just as messy as you want, like I am, and then you can just make it nice and neat. So I'm sort of matching that brown that's on the right hand side. So don't forget the bottom. Add those lovely grey shadows that are there. It's looking good. So I'm doing more shading on the images. I've got to keep in mind that it's, not probably not the best idea to put too much water down, as it's not watercolor paper. But the shading's starting to really come together. Paper's starting to rough up. Just got to be a bit careful. Isn't she a beautiful image? Just going to pop some shading around her back so that she stands out. That just fills out that space as well. I'm just going to do it quite roughly. I think that's looking quite good. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. I think I might call the shading done. I don't want to overdo it. I think it's quite an improvement to how it was. Okay, so now I've popped on a sticker that says "Be You Bravely." I think that that's quite nice, and it suits it. I think it suits her. I've just gone around it with a Stabilo oil pencil and just with a water brush. Just going around it now. Now I'm just going to go around the edges with a charcoal pencil, and that's just to frame it, but just gently. I don't want a lot. I don't think it needs a lot. I'm just going to trace the edges. And I'm just going to do a little bit of grey blending up here. I spotted an area that needs a little bit of blending. I think this grey will probably be a good colour, and I'll just blend the colour downwards towards the bottom of the page. Being careful not to blend that charcoal out. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just so that it gets just a bit of that colour. So it doesn't look like there's too much of a sharp line. It just blends it a little bit more. And I'm going to do a little bit more tea bag colour just along here to blend from the outwards. Let's give it a little bit more that colour out there. And I think I'm going to call it done. I'm going to pop it in my art journal and we'll have a closer look together. I'll pop a bit more charcoal in the corners, I think. All right, here we are, all finished. I have to say I'm really happy with the end result. I really enjoyed doing something a little bit different. I found it really therapeutic. The blending is just gorgeous. I think in person it might have showed up a little bit better. Even my husband just said, "Oh, the blending's gorgeous," and he's probably the most. He's probably the person that you'd least expect to pick up on that sort of thing. Let me know what you think about my technique for blending. I think that the book's gorgeous. I'll be sure to leave an affiliate link for this book in my description box. If you want to grab yourself a copy, it's just gorgeous. I really had fun creating this little picture. The texture's just gorgeous. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you're going to try this technique. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.